Hey folks, Jake from Podcasty For Me here. This is a preview of a bonus episode from our Patreon feed, Paid Costly For Me. If you like this and you want to hear more, you can head on over to patreon.com/podcastyforme, where for $5 a month, you can get a new bonus episode every other week. That's patreon.com/podcastyforme. Enjoy!
Bay is also famously kind of despicable in his politics, in the politics espoused by his films, and in a way that is so over the top that it can be easy to read as complicit critique, because how could you possibly assert this sincerely?
This is where maybe I am going to be naive, because there is a level where it becomes so juvenile that I am sort of less offended by it, and this is maybe from a position of not being affected by the things that he's contributing to, right? Because if your life was made materially worse by the types of attitudes that he is supporting tacitly,
if you're a Libyan guy,
then this might not be so silly to you. But for I agree with you that his is so over the top that it's hard for me to be upset at it for being like insidious or
it's
corrupting
prime,
or something.
Armand White bait, sort of too deep into ideology theory to the point of this is actually the most Marxist film ever made kind of shit, where someone writing a treatise on Transformers 2 as like the only real answer to minstrelsy since Bamboozled or something.
Yeah.
But this film, Bay makes Pearl Harbor, which is sort of famously over the top and stupid, and makes a 3-minute
just difficult to watch. I think unpleasant film,
45 minutes long, and he was, I think, trying to kind of invoke some, from here to eternity style classical melodrama in a way that
there's
I think
elements
people thought
of that,
was out of his depth,
like a Douglas Sirk situation.
Yeah, and then Douglas Twerk is probably, he would have like a guy named Douglas Twerk who's
that's
like
true.
really gay.
Yep.
But then he also says like, well, look at that bitch's ass or whatever,
right. Yeah. And has just enough self-awareness that in this film, in 13 Hours, he can make fun of Muammar Gaddafi for his like Amazonian guard and sort of say like, can you imagine a guy who would hire all these babes, but also like, I get where he's coming from.
But then basically the only English-speaking Libyan character in the film is played by Payman Mahdi, who is an Iranian actor most famous for his collaborations with Asghar Farhadi, which is a country very far from Libya where they do not speak Arabic.
Right, that is true.
So he's also in Six Underground, which
I didn't
is probably it's a bizarre film that has something to do with like an Iranian coup, I think. So we might need to be watching that soon.
Okay, that's unfortunate to hear for me. But
you get to see, I think you get to see Dave Franco die in that movie. So it might be kind of cool. Right. And then this film, 13 Hours, was sort of pitched and received as Bay going a little serious. Bay doing, kind of American Sniper, or doing Black Hawk Down, as is repeatedly invoked in the film. This is Michael Bay turning his, showers of fireworks when a RPG hits something. There's just like inexplicably M80s in there.
He loves tracer rounds because they're.
Does.
I am gonna get in here early and say, if there is anything that is appealing or can be described as an achievement, I think applying his visual clarity and love of bombast is effective in creating this weird combination of like American excess in a place that is desperate.
Right.
And also great confusion, but confusion told in a way that is clear to the audience.
Yes.
And I think that is what the film is good at. I don't know if that seems true.
I think so too. Well, it's a combination of clarity and I think like effectively conveyed chaos, effectively conveyed like what the fuck is going on.
That's what I mean.
He's also throughout the film he uses this, like there's these sort of blue digital artifact lens flare things that are very. The film opens with the footage of Gaddafi's capture and execution by what appears to be some guy.
I mean, to your idea that this is serious, it was upsetting to me to watch the opening because it is using news footage also of people like arming rockets and people protesting in the streets. And in that way, it is invoking history so directly that that is like borderline offensive to me because it is putting itself in direct conversation.
Saying this is a document.
Yeah.
And then I think the cell phone footage of Gaddafi's execution is like the sizzle reel, the lookbook for the rest of the movie, where he is drawing on cell phone footage and like surveillance age aesthetics. We get overhead drone shots that are sometimes I think supposed to be from an actual like CIA surveillance drone, and sometimes just like how he wants to show the establish the location.
Right. In terms of his interest in clarity, he initially kind of uses what appears to be, to me, the drone footage I'm familiar with, the sort of like blurry grayscale stuff. And then later in the film, he's using like if a drone had a red 1 on it or something.
Right.
You know,
right.
Like,
and some of them might at this point.
Yeah, I don't know. Unfortunately, I don't know.
So that's interesting. And, you know, he's got these big muscle men with their big contractor beards, and he goes a little less hard on the gay soy boy bureaucrat angle that you get in. It's not as pronounced as like Ken Jeong.
Jake's responding to me raising my eyebrows to suggest that he was I think you're right. And I even think
the guy isn't literally like played by Andy Dick, which he would have been in a Transformers movie, is what I'm saying.
And I think he's a little bit more questioning of, I mean, the ways that he portrays, for example, Pablo Schreiber character Tonto, he's sort of like skeptical light. I would say that it's
Cristanto Baranto?
Yes, Cristanto Baranto, yeah. But I would say this is the kind of like, what do they call that? Like Althusserian, like acceptable critique where like it ultimately just reinforces the thing that we're talking about here by saying like, well, these guys are kind of lunkhead buffoons, and they're like doing these goofy little dances and they play video games all day. But
and
there is also some honor here, and there's brotherhood, and there's patriotism.
Want to hear the rest of the episode? Go to patreon.com/podcasty for me and sign up for just $5 a month. We're sorry we do this.